Hey y'all, welcome back to Moments and Miles with Derek. I am, of course, Derek. And in this video, we're going to be exploring Zion National Park. So the first footage here of the video, this was us leaving the Sedona area and drove over to Springdale. We camped 4 nights in an RV park that was right outside the entrance to the park. We rode some e-bikes, did some hiking, checked out the little town. So yeah, you guys stick around. Let's go on this adventure with us, take in some of the beauty of the national park, and hope you enjoy.
Ouch! I think I'm gonna break down. I've been acting like a good girl way too long. Gonna break down.
We didn't have a very long drive this day to get from where we started to the park. But I guess with the excitement, it just seemed like it was taking us a while. So I was so excited when we seen that park sign. And then, of course, you can see here just the drive through the park is just, it's like something that should be on a postcard. It's just absolutely gorgeous. We did, of course, we're pulling our pop-up camper. So we did have to get a permit to go through the tunnel. I want to say it was $15. I felt like that was a little bit of overkill with a pop-up camper, but basically what it is you get that permit, and when you get to the tunnel, you give it to the park ranger, and they stop traffic. So it is just a one-way traffic going through the tunnel when you are towing something. Like I said, I feel that was maybe a little overkill with our little pop-up camper. If we'd have had a full-size travel trailer, absolutely could understand that. But anyways, no big deal, just, a little extra expense along the way. But it was so amazing to drive through the park. I couldn't wait to get to the campsite, get everything unloaded, get our bikes out, and, hop on the bikes and take them for a ride through the park.
I'm not done with you. I'm just gonna break down. That's what I say. Wait. That's right. Here we go. I can hear you calling up my name.
As soon as we got to the campground and we got our campsite and everything set up, I told Matt, I was like, we've got to get our bikes out. It's a gorgeous day. I'm so anxious to ride the scenic loop through the park. This first section, when you go through, it takes you through like the Watchman campground. There are a lot of people walking on the trail, so you do have to kind of, pay attention so you don't flatten someone like a pancake right there on the trail. But it's about 1.5 miles, and then you get to the actual scenic loop road that takes you through the park.
I'm just gonna break down. That's what I say. Wait.
E-bikes in Zion. It's crazy. Amazing. Absolutely beautiful. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you all, if you're going to Zion National Park, taking your own e-bikes, or you can rent them in Springdale, it is an absolute must. I honestly cannot imagine a better way to experience the park than riding your bikes through here. And the good thing is there's no public traffic allowed. You have the shuttles and then the people that are staying at the Zion Lodge. But once you get past it, the only things you pass are shuttles. And, there's a handful of those that you will see. It is so peaceful and so serene. Absolutely a 10 out of 10 experience. It's about, 7 o'clock? We pretty much have the park to ourselves, it seems like. Nobody. Right. No, I don't know how to flip the camera around, but as you can see behind us, nobody here. Not that we're complaining. We kind of enjoy it that way, but we're taking advantage of it. On our first evening, when we took the bikes out, we decided to do Weeping Rock Trail. It's only, I want to say it's 0.4 miles, so you're talking 15-20 minutes or so to do it. There were no cars there, so we thought, you know what, let's just stop. We had rode in the car for several hours and been on our bikes, so it would do us a little good to move around. So we went up to that. It was a neat little spot. We kind of, hung out there for probably 15, 20 minutes or so, just taking it all in. And then we just hopped back on the bikes, and at this point, we headed on back because we needed to have dinner. And I wasn't totally sure with the e-bike batteries because we hadn't charged them. I didn't want to get out on the far end of the loop and the batteries, wear out, and then we would be stuck. So we headed on back towards the campground so we could, have some dinner, unwind, and then, basically get prepared to go out for the next day for a full day of exploring the park.
Wanna be with you now. Wanna see what the sunset looks like. Wanna be with you now. 'Cause I just got to move. Take a look at all the shining lights. Nothing beats that view. Would you meet me on the floor tonight? And it's California. I couldn't afford you, baby. Ooh. It kinda makes you wanna move.
Free flowing, sailing with the wind, not knowing how this story ends. Kind and brave, I know you'll find a way. Live your truth, and good will come to you.
The next couple of clips here is the Emerald Pools Trail. So they've got a lower, middle, and upper, and we were going to do the middle and the upper. We didn't go to the lower one. And when we got to the middle pool, the middle section of it, the people that were coming down from the upper Emerald Pool said there was no water up there. So it was pretty underwhelming. So we decided that, if there wasn't any water up there, it was kind of a waste to hike up through there. So after we kind of hung out at the middle Emerald Pool, we headed on back down, and then we got back on our bikes and rode on up the scenic loop towards the Narrows. And we found this neat little spot. We just pulled off the side of the road, and there was a little trail, and it took us down to the river here, as you can see. It was a little sandy area. It was a perfect little spot to just kind of chill. There was nobody around. The water, it was absolutely freezing. So getting in to just kind of dip, to your ankles, maybe to your knees, that's about all I was interested in because it was so cold. But we ended up liking that area so much that we did come back for the afternoon, dressed a little bit warmer, because it does get kind of cool down in there once the sun starts to set. So this is the footage here. We come back, and I will say in the park, the shuttle stops running at 7:15. That's the last pickup at the Narrows, which is at the end of the loop. So if you're there late in the evening, it's pretty much, you feel like you have the entire park to yourself, because we did not see one single person on this trip back to this little spot. Not one person the entire time, which it was kind of cool, but at the same time is a little bit eerie. But this is a perfect little spot to just kind of chill. Like I said, a little sandy area, and just to hang out in our chairs by the water.
Can we talk now? Maybe this'll be a better time after a fallout.
made a little friend here on the trail. This was when we went to Scout Lookout. This was the biggest hike that we done in the park. And the little critters along the way, I guess they were wanting food. They're used to people, but they were not shy at all. But this part right here, this is the trail going up to Scout Lookout. As you can see, the views it looks like something that's just out of this world. We did not do Angel's Landing. This is the same trail that takes you to Angel's Landing. And the reason being is neither one of us are huge fans of heights anyways. And seeing some videos and stuff, I didn't think that I could do it. Plus, a man had fell 2 days before we were there. He had fell and passed away on that trail to the Angel's Landing section. So I was like, I just don't think that's going to be worth it. But anyways, so yeah, the lookout up here, the views were absolutely amazing. I would personally, maybe I'm just more out of shape than other people. I would rate this kind of a strenuous hike. I know Angel's Landing is most definitely strenuous, but I feel like going up even to the Scout Lookout, it's pretty strenuous. We were tired, and the Walters Wiggle section of it, it's really cool, but it's pretty intense as well. Going to that part, and I think there's 21 switchbacks in that Walters Wiggle section, and it does kind of drop off. So if you're not a big fan of heights and you're passing people, it can get a little bit daunting going around those switchbacks, but we made it and it was well worth it. We were exhausted after the hike for sure, but for me, my advice is, if you're going to do this hike, I probably wouldn't plan a whole lot in addition to it, because it does take a couple of hours, and we were exhausted when we got back from doing it. So we rode our bikes around a little bit, and we just kind of took it easy for the rest of the day.
Stay back, 2 steps closer, and 2 steps back, 2 steps closer. Stay back, still moves closer. Mean what you say what you mean. It's better to show something than not show anything. Mean what you say what you mean. It's better to show something than not show anything. Can we talk now? Maybe this'll be.
This section right here of the hike, the wind was, it was blowing. There was such a great breeze blowing through here, and it was so cool. I'm not sure if this is Refrigerator Canyon or not, but it felt amazing. And then this was my actual favorite spot of the hike, because I feel like the views just looking down the canyon, it just really, I don't know, it was so rewarding, and it was so worth it. And I preferred coming down more than going up, because when you're coming down, you are against the rock wall rather than being on the edge there. And I don't know, I guess I overanalyze and overstress everything. But, I was just thinking about, like, when you're going up, if the person was to trip or something and bump you, they could knock you right off the edge. But, I need to not stress over things like that, but that's just how I'm wired. But anyways, yes, it was exhausting, but it was well worth it, and it's an amazing hike that I definitely recommend. And if you don't want to do the Angel's Landing part and fool with getting the permit and everything, the Scout Lookout is literally, it takes you right to the base of where you start the Angel's Landing. So it's, you get the same views without that, hardcore, strenuous last section there of Angel's Landing.
Maybe that could happen when you're next to me. I just wanna see the same thing.
On our last evening, we decided to go ahead and take advantage of having laundry at the campground. And it worked out really well because this was actually pretty much the halfway point of our 2-week trip. So we figured this is a great time to go ahead and get all of our laundry done, to start fresh for the second stretch of our trip. And then once we finished with that, I wanted to take one last ride through the little town here of Springdale, just to take it all in. I really hated to leave. I was excited about our next stop on our trip, but I really hated to leave this place because I just absolutely love this little vibe, small town vibe. And you've got, the scenery there in the background. There's all kinds of little shops, art galleries, restaurants. We went to several different restaurants while we were staying there. Everywhere was good. The service was good. It just, I don't know. I love this kind of vibe in these little towns like this. Everything is just so cute. They do have several e-bike rental places. So if you don't have your bikes with you, or you don't have the ability to take your bikes, and you do want to ride bikes through the park, there's plenty of options to do that as well. And then there's a little market, a little grocery market where you can get, all your essentials. And then if you stay at the campground, they have a store there in the office, and they've got your essentials like, eggs, bacon, your bread, milk. They've got like frozen pizzas, a couple other frozen meals and stuff. But this is pulling into the campground. Super nice place. Of course, the view's right here. And we did have one of the riverfront sites. So we had the Virgin River right there on our site, which was just, it really was just chef's kiss for our campsite area. And so peaceful. Very clean. The bathhouses were impeccable. You do get tokens for the shower. You only get a 6-minute shower, and that's one per day per person. So that, I wasn't a big fan of that, but it is what it is. And if, you're a fully contained camper, you don't even need the showers. But anywho, so yeah, this pretty much sums up our trip to Springdale. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and stick around, stay tuned. I've got some more videos for the rest of the stretch of our trip. We got Valley of Fire coming up and a couple other things. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.